Anime live-action adaptations have a less than stellar reputation, with most ranging from bad to god-awful.
Has the power to defeat this threat.
But when Netflix announced that they were making a live-action Cowboy Bebop, with the blessing of Shinichiro Watanabe and music by Yoko Kanno, there was hope that this could turn out to be something good. Less than a month after it was released, Netflix has canceled the show. So, what went wrong? Before we get into the laundry list of problems with the show, let's talk about what the show does well. The performance of the Bebop crew are actually pretty faithful to the original anime. John Cho, as Spike, does a good job of portraying his laid-back, devil-may-care attitude. He pairs well with Mustafa Shakir's Jet, who gives one of the best performances out of everyone. His voice sounds just like Jet's original voice actor, Bo Billingsley, at times. Daniela Pineda, as Faye, keeps it faithful to the anime, in that she can be a seductive temptress in one moment, then a surly bum the next. And we can't forget the incredible job that Ein does. He's just a good boy. The music is another highlight of the show, as to be expected, as they brought Yoko Kanno back to redo her original score of the anime. Hearing the real folk blues come on as the credits play, and the jazzy beats of Cat Blues and Tank bring me to my happy place. The redone music is nostalgic and stellar, but it also leads us into the first problem with the show, and that is the OP. Now there's nothing wrong with Tank, thank God, but rather the visuals that accompany it. It starts off recreating the scenes that played in the anime's OP, but about halfway through, they start throwing in random scenes from the show, as if to say, hey, remember this character? Or this scene? Yeah, we got him. We're so Cowboy Bebop. It's a minor complaint, but the originals was more symbolic and just more fun in general. If you'd like a more in-depth breakdown of the OP, I'd suggest checking out Mother's Basement's analysis of it. He goes over a bunch of symbolism and comparisons to the live-action OP. Now, problems with the show itself start off with the cinematography, or rather, lack thereof. You see, instead of doing something interesting with the camera work, they decided to have 80% of their shots be Dutch angles. For those of you who don't know, a Dutch angle is when the camera is slightly tilted and is used to give a sense of uneasiness. But when all your shots are Dutch angles, it just gets repetitive and boring. I will say that there is one scene that is set up like a one-take shot where Spike is raiding a drug den, and is probably the best shot in the entire show. But other than that, nothing really stands out, and the Dutch angles just seem to be thrown in there for no reason. While there were plenty of Dutch angles, there was a severe lack of space battles. Now, I get they probably didn't have the budget to do a bunch of crazy space battles, but how can you have Cowboy Bebop and no space battles? The live-action version makes a lot of changes. If they want to make changes, then they should have told a tangent story, similar to the movie, instead of keeping some things the same and changing other things. While I'm not opposed to changes being made to adaptations, those changes shouldn't be something that drastically alter the character or story. Unfortunately, the live action decides to do both of those things. A minor change they made, but I found rather annoying, is the Syndicate members keep referring to Spike as Fearless. As if they had these code names in the Syndicate, and that's why Vicious's name is Vicious. Which is a bit odd when you already have characters' names like Spike and Jet, but no, Vicious is too out there. Not too impactful, but it does get annoying. The first episode stays faithful to the first episode of the anime for the most part, as it follows Spike and Jet trying to get the bounty on Asimov. However, the first change that comes in this episode have lasting effects for the rest of the story. First, Jet doesn't know about Spike's past in the Syndicate. Second, Jet has a daughter. These two changes come into play towards the end of the episode, when they learn that Asimov has ties to the Syndicate. Spike doesn't want to go after the bounty anymore, But Jet, who was supposed to be the more cautious and level-headed one, says that they need to go after him because he needs the money for his daughter's birthday that's coming up. Spike and Jet basically flip characters in this scene, for no good reason. Jet is someone Spike has confided in about his past in the anime. They keep his past a secret from Jet to set some tension in the last episode that feels forced. The next big change is what the hell they did to Gren. Gren, who was one of the most interesting characters in the anime, was changed from former friend and comrade of Vicious, and later betrayed by him, and had his body changed through drugs, to a cross-dressing host at a club. The utter disrespect and the massive simplification of his character is a disgrace. It's like the writers were like, hey, this guy has boobs. Let's make him a cross-dresser instead. That'll get the point across. Moving on, let's talk about Julia. Poor Julia. They had a badass female character that they could really do some cool scenes with. Instead, they made her a boring-ass character with no agency. Rather than keeping her backstory as a former member of the syndicate that went into hiding, they made her a former jazz singer and ended up Vicious's wife. Everything just happens to her, and she is basically used as motivation for Vicious and Spike. There's a lot more of her in the show, but she doesn't do much of anything. What made her a badass in the anime is that she only showed up every once in a while, but when she did, she was always doing something impactful. There is a similar change to Vicious's character, just taken to 1000%. Vicious is on screen way too much, and he is way overplayed. Why Vicious works so well in the anime is that you don't see him on screen that much, but when he is, he's terrifying. And even when he's not, you hear stories about what he's done, and that just adds to the mystery and fear of him. The live-action version portrays him as a crazed man with anger and daddy issues. He just never feels scary. He's always just yelling and will occasionally kill people, but an interesting character that does not make. Part of what makes anime Vicious so scary is his calm, subdued nature. He doesn't have to be over the top and loud because he's always in control. He seemingly has a plan for every scenario, and only really gets angry when it comes to Spike. Cowboy Bebop live action had so much potential to at least be an okay adaptation, but with all the unnecessary changes they made, it ended up falling flat on its face. But at least we always have the original anime to go back to and enjoy. And if you'd like to hear our thoughts on the anime, then check out our Otaku Time episode on it. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more otaku goodness. See ya, Space Cowboy.